Hi, this is Matt with AppliancePartsPros.com. Today we'll be showing you how to repair your appliance. Remember, anytime you work on an appliance, make sure it's unplugged or the circuit breakers are off so there's no chance of electrocution. In this video we're going to show you how to change out the Frigidaire Refrigerator Condenser Fan Motor. It's going to be a very easy repair and it should only take a few minutes to show you how to do it. If you already have one of these, great. If not, you can click on the link below or get it at AppliancePartsPros.com. When you open up the package, you're going to get the new mounting bolts, the fan mounting nut, and the condenser fan motor. The condenser fan motor circulates air over the condenser and the compressor to help keep them cool. The main reason to be changing it out is if it's failed and the condenser and the compressor are running hot and the unit's not cooling properly. In order to get to the part, we have to go around to the back of the refrigerator. Now that we're around back, we can use the 1/4-inch nut driver to remove all the screws that hold the cover on. Once you have all the screws out, you can take the cover off and set it aside. Now that we have the cover off, we have access to the condenser fan motor. It's mounted right here. You want to be careful when you're taking this out. You don't want to damage any of the water lines or the copper freon lines. First thing we're going to do is unplug the condenser fan motor. There's an electrical plug right up here that we have to disconnect. We're going to use a small flathead screwdriver to reach in and release it and disconnect it. Once you have the tab released, you can pull the wire connector off. Now that we have the wire harness disconnected, we can follow the line down. We're going to cut this zip tie that holds all the wire harnesses together. Just want to reach in and carefully clip it. We're going to use our wire cutters to cut it off. Once you have that off, we can use our 1/4-inch nut driver to take out the 3 bolts that hold the condenser fan motor on. Once you have all the bolts out, you can reach in and carefully turn the motor so the fan hub is facing towards the front. And again, you want to be careful of all the lines and wires. Now that we have it turned around, we can hold the motor while we reach in with the pliers and take off this flat nut. It just unscrews counterclockwise like a regular nut. Once you have it loose, you can turn it the rest of the way off with your hand and pull it out and set it aside. Then we're going to separate the motor from the fan blade and set the motor down. We're going to carefully pull the fan blade out and set it aside. We can reach in and pull the condenser fan motor out. Here's the old condenser fan motor next to the new one. If you already have one of these, great. If not, you can get it at AppliancePartsPros.com. Looks like the new condenser fan motor comes with new bolts and a new nut, so we're going to use those to install it. To put the new condenser fan motor in, we're just going to carefully route the wiring harness around to the back side. We'll hook that up later. Once you have the motor in place, same as when we took the blade off, we're going to hold it in place. You want to make sure that the fan blade goes all the way down onto these little rubber pins so it sits down and seats properly. We're just going to move it back a little bit, get it out of the way so we can put the fan blade in. Remember, you want to put it in the same way you took it off. It should be scratched. Make sure that goes towards the compressor. Once you have the fan blade in place and the 4 pins are coming through, you can grab the nut and put it on. Once you have it as tight as you can with your hand, we can grab the pliers and tighten it down the rest of the way. You want to make sure you get this on there tight so the fan blade doesn't wobble around. Once you have it tightened down, carefully rotate the motor around so we can line up the motor with the mounting legs. Once you have it in place, we can use the 1/4-inch nut driver to get all the bolts started. Once you have them all started, we're going to tighten them down. Well, these are going to be a little bit harder to drive in because they don't put any threads in the motor. So we have to cut the threads with the new bolts. Once you have all 3 bolts tightened down, you want to give the fan blade a spin. Make sure everything's lined up right. It's not going to hit anything. And then we can route the wiring harness. We're just going to route the wiring harness up over these wiring harnesses here. And then into the socket here. When you're pressing it in, remember the locking tab goes on the bottom. So make sure that's down when you push it on so that you get a good connection. Once you have it locked in place, we can put a zip tie around the wiring harnesses to hold them all together. Once you have the zip tie on and tightened down, we can cut the excess off. We're going to use our wire cutters to cut it off. Now that we have the new condenser fan motor installed, we can put the access cover back on the refrigerator. Remember, anytime you have the access cover off, you want to carefully clean everything up back here, being careful of the copper lines and the water lines. Also make sure you clean the compressor and everything off. The better you can clean it up, the more efficient everything will run. To put the access cover back on, we're just going to set it in place, and then we can go around with the 1/4-inch nut driver and put all the screws in. Once you have all the screws back in, you can plug the refrigerator back in and make sure it starts to cool. Thanks for joining us for another successful repair brought to you by AppliancePartsPros.com. Check out our other repair videos on our site, Facebook, and YouTube.